This is gonna get good.
So
Okay,
good.
you guys, hello and welcome again to the Galactic Explorers podcast with myself, Daniella, and as always, the magical and lovely Miss Dallas. Welcome to the podcast where we take you on a joyride through the earthly, spiritual, or everyday topic explored with the galactic perspective. We're gonna crack right into this one. Intro. Do do do. Excellent. So we're gonna crack right into this one. Excuse me. Demons release. We're gonna crack right into this one because we were just talking about this off camera, and Dallas basically just said you just need to hit the freaking record button.
So good. So fucking good.
Okay, and this is actually based off of a viewer topic that we had from last week. That was too big of a topic for us to attack in a sense during the viewer questions one, just because we wanted to get through a few. So we were talking about that same viewer question off camera just now, and it was getting real good. And so here we are. Really quick though, would you remind everyone and those who haven't watched last week's episode, go watch it or listen to it.
Watch it.
Right? Would you please remind everybody what that was?
Yes. Okay, ready?
Oh yeah.
Conspiracy theories. This is good. Like, it kind of focused more on the UFOs and our government, but with everything going on right now, that they're kind of blowing up, and me and Daniella were just like, but dude,
But
dude.
this,
So, like, we have to, like, this is where we need to dive into the conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And we talked on how we just really need to be aligned with our own being. But we want to get into some juicy shit, and we want to tear it up and get uncomfortable. We want to get real uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, we want to get dirty.
So the basic of the topic of conversation where we got started, we'll take you back in time about maybe half an hour ago. Because we're all time travelers, right? What? Another topic for another time. It's gonna get good. About half an hour ago, Dallas and I were talking about this and talking about kind of maybe the aspects about it that we would want to explore. And I had said that it would be fun because she and I grew up with the completely opposite ideologies. She and I are the best friends. Completely different ideologies, though. Check that shit out. Take that as lesson number 1 for this podcast. Doesn't matter. This stuff doesn't matter. This is what matters. Okay. Number 1. But we were talking about that and how interesting this topic might get because she and I might end up butting heads, which we rarely do, because we come from those different ideologies, and as much clearing work and all of this stuff that we do and continue to do, we can still occasionally catch ourselves, both individually and opposite one another, bringing some of that color or that flavor of that ideology into our current belief system and bringing that out our mouths, and that kind of, right? So we can still catch ourselves, right? At kind of doing the parroting thing. We're like, oh, there's some old shit. Do we actually believe that, you know? So that's kind of where the conversation got started, because it was an interesting, like, we were just commenting directly on what's going on, and I don't know how many of these words we could say without being censored, so we'll have fun with this. But we were talking about how in certain circles of the alternative spiritual thought news community, they were really kind of banking on the person who is now potentially the outgoing president being an opportunity for us to break a lot of the mind control cycles and wake up. And because this particular person, in their view, was not bought out in the way that pretty much all previous presidents have been for quite some time, and potentially the way the incoming one potentially maybe allegedly may be, Not saying anything, nobody sue me. So, right, covering my bases. So, it was just that conversation about that particular person and sort of the hopes that a lot of the spiritual community had for this break in the cycle that this person had potentially represented, coming down to the reflection that we got shown, is more of one of, in a sense, a reflection of his own humanity, which, if you think about it, is kind of a reflection of where humanity is in general. Because we were talking about how, in some ways, instead of coming forward and just owning things and being like, oh, fuck it, all right, I fucked up, let's fix this. Just going, like, what'd you do? What'd you do with the hood? Just, yeah, that. And that was kind of disappointing, in a sense, you know, from our own personal opinion. Because there was a lot of opportunity there to confront a lot of negative shit. And, well, if you're already getting shit flung at you anyway, you know, what's a few pounds more? Well, that's kind of not quite what happened. And so we're starting to realize that that's a reflection of what a lot of people, how they felt, how they react to stuff that makes them uncomfortable, how they're faced with, when they are faced with something that might be considered a mistake, is to, and not face it. We were actually just talking about how off camera, some people that you can present them with an obvious truth, like you could land a UFO in their friggin' backyard, an actual one, not an ARV, an actual one. You can land a UFO in somebody's backyard, show it to them, they'd be like, nah, I don't believe that, that's a lie. Bloop.
Oh, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it.
I don't see it.
It doesn't exist.
Right. And we're discovering that that is a big point about where humanity's at, and recognizing that that is where it's at. That shit, we have the wool pulled over our eyes collectively, still, to a great degree. And that's where the conspiracy theory bit comes in. Right? Because who's behind it? Why do we have the collective wool pulled over our eyes? What's the purpose? Is there a purpose? Is it just a game? Oh, Matrix.
Which pill would you like?
So that's kind of where we were at.
Yep.
And you were making a point, and God only knows what it was at the time, now that I've caught everybody up. But
I'm like, okay.
Huh?
No, go. Let's.
I was just gonna say, I think it maybe had to do something with the aspect of bringing in the divine feminine, masculine.
Yeah, the balance. I've definitely been. We mentioned like the warrior, right? We're going for this one cause, this one purpose, and we're dedicated. We're on it. Where anymore now it's so one-sided that we're all off balance, off skewed, where we can't find that, okay, here's my left foot, right foot firmly on the ground.
Yeah.
My whole sense is here. I have that strength of the masculine, but also the softness of the feminine. You know, it's that
the ability really, to nurture, but also kick ass.
Yeah, where you have to like
right.
really be on a level playing field. And that level playing field means kind of like a neutral place where you can see both sides and you don't have to lean one way to another, but you can see in the middle and you can see more inwards of, okay, how am I going to lead on?
Right.
For the best.
That's where we were getting to, is taking it interpersonal.
Right. It's not
and
about
the whole idea of no longer relying on the leader,
right?
Or, you know, some leader to show us the way or to save us.
Yeah, it's there it goes. Okay, so
yeah, I got you back. Go ahead.
I'm like, okay, there it is. I'm going to say that it's about, I don't need a head honcho to to define my life and to define where I'm going and what I need to do for my highest good.
Yeah.
Right. So I did my part. I voted. I listened. I was aware, and I went with my best judgment for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I let it go. I voted and I let it go. Right. And I walked away. And where my husband was so plugged in on the media side of things and this and that, then my energy got, and I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
this, like, I felt the despair. I felt
Me too.
the
Oh my
hurt. Like,
God.
it was right here, and it was so heavy, and I was trying to release that, but I am a human in this human collective, and this was you have to experience this to know where you stand.
I woke up 2 mornings in a row and basically spontaneously started bawling.
Yeah. I cried
Completely spontaneously just started crying my eyes out.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this even mine? And they're like, yep.
No.
This is everybody else. You're feeling everybody else. They are freaking the fuck out. I was like, okay, so just hold my center and try and get out.
Yeah.
To share with everybody to hold their center. But the topic for this one in particular, and we'll kind of get to back around to this. This might be a two-parter. I did not start the timer.
Okay.
But we'll get around to this whole idea of energetic manipulation, because that is a part of the conspiracy theory realm.
Yeah.
The whole idea that people are being energetically manipulated to such a point that it is resonating all in unison, so much so that people like you and I, and lots of you out there listening and watching, have been getting hit with wave after wave after wave of this energetic flow through that everybody is being, I would say, in my own personal opinion, more or less tricked into feeling.
Yeah.
To keep them fearful, to keep them in that range of frequency. And it is resonating so loudly right now in our particular area of the world that people like you and me are feeling it like nuts.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what you're feeling, if you don't know to tap in and ask the questions, you could be feeling like you are losing your mind right now. When you
despair.
Right? So we'll get to that, because the energetic manipulation is a whole part of it. So, conspiracy theory.
We're dancing on it.
It's always one of my favorite things, because it's so, some of it, god dang, it's just so outlandish. Even for me. I mean, honest to God, I believe some weird freaking shit,
Yeah.
when it comes to if you compare it up against what would be considered the mainstream. Okay? But dear God, some of it, it's just, the earth is flat? What?
That one tickles me.
Okay?
That just like, I
start a whole comment war just from that right there. Boom. But
that's
point
cute.
being is that we were kind of talking about, I was explaining to Dallas, because this is not her field necessarily of what intrigues her the most about the spiritual realm and all what's going on with the interplay between the physical and the energetic, or the spiritual divine. And so we were talking about things like, what is the deep state?
Yeah.
Why did Trump matter to so much of the alternative community? That kind of thing. And if you're unfamiliar with those kinds of ideas, that's where we were, kind of starting from, is the whole idea. And again, go back and listen to, if you haven't, speaking on this topic, the Think for Yourself PSA.
No.
That covers a lot of the beginning of kind of what where the conspiracy attachment to like government and things like that kind of is set in reality. So when Dallas was asking what's the deep state, it's those persons or person entities that are behind, in control of, all of the major corporations, news, media, all over the world. There is that thing, there's like, you know, the little bubble graphs that go around and it shows you the 12 companies that own all of the rest of the companies, banks, everything, all food, everything. The whole world run by 12 companies. 7+ billion people. And that's kind of where the conspiracy thing gets started. That's what when people talk about the deep state, that's what they mean. Is those entities that are behind, they own the same people own food as own news, as own TV, as own movies.
Mm-hmm.
So if they own it and it is in their best interest, what they consider their best interest, financially especially, they're going to merge those ideas. They're going to cross promote across all of their fields. They're going to make you want all the same things. They're going to tell you all the same stuff. They're going to fill you with all the same ideas. And that's where we came to the whole idea of the all or nothing mindset, where it's like, even if you landed a UFO in some particular people's backyards, they would still deny it. Because that's where the mind control comes in. If it's all or nothing, if it's all only this, it can't be that.
Right. And that's where I'm kind of like with the conspiracies, like, don't get me wrong, I'm into a few, but at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to let it rule of right or wrong for me, or pave my way of how I do things or experience things, because I got to tune in to myself and go, okay, what's true,
Exactly.
what's light, what is, you know. And if I do catch myself like following something too much or to an extent, I go,
Mm-hmm.
well, this is weird, I'm kind of overwhelming myself with this, why?
Right. And that's ultimately, I think, where we were getting to.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the point that we want to make sure to get across, in any time that you investigate any kind of government conspiracy, UFO conspiracy, what's going on behind the scenes, talking about deep state, Illuminati, cabal, yay, we're going to get censored, all the trigger words, yeah! What happens if I say David Icke?
Oh, but
Bye. Just for funsies. No, I actually know a few people that have had their stuff flagged literally within the last week.
wow.
Saying that name. And I was like, really? Talk about government conspiracy, talk about censorship. Really? Okay,
Right.
now.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't say a name. You can't even reference it. You can't even be like, no.
Yeah. No, see, yeah, like that is like, I get the censorship stuff of things.
Now wait, gosh darn minute. Okay. Yeah. But again, I think and maybe we will be able to kind of wrap this up in the sense that no matter how juicy it gets, no matter, come here. I know, my doggy's decided he wants to join us. No matter who you're gunning for, who you're rooting for, to think about that and ask yourself, is it something that's from you? Is it something that you actually resonate with? Is it a learned behavior? To stop looking outside of yourself for guidance in that sense, to define who you are, to define what your values are, to define what you value, who you value. who you love, who you don't. I mean, like, all of it. Just to stop looking outside of yourselves, regardless of conspiracy theory, regardless of if the Draco are actually in control, regardless of if there, you know, is a cabal, deep state, regardless of if there is or isn't. I think that was the point that we wanted to get to.
Yeah, and well, I mean, it's I think judgment, you know, like I heard one guy talking about, you know, the fraud of the election, that they found 40,000 Trump ballots in the dumpster. So I go, so somebody wants to get rid of these ballots, they're just going to throw them in a dumpster and call it a day and not get caught? Like, wouldn't they shred them or, you know, dispose of them?
I mean, you would think, but sometimes people are a little.
Well, and I get it.
You know, people like try and get away with murder and shit, and they just leave some dumbass clues behind. They don't even think that shit through. I mean, you know, how many CSI shows do we have? Come on, y'all, step up your game. Shameful.
I guess maybe I hold people higher accountable. Of like, if I'm going to do something, like, you're not going to know about it.
Well, that's because, I mean, but you don't think on the same level as a lot of people.
No, I do not.
You got to take that into consideration.
No, and I do.
In the sense that it may actually be true. Yeah. And is that an interesting thought, though, to think about it that way? Is that it may actually be true? Maybe it is, maybe it ain't.
Right.
Bottom line is to govern yourself, regardless of who is in a place of governance and power, quote unquote, above us.
Right. Yeah. It's just, I guess for me, it's seeing things totally different and question, like, why would you do it that way? Like, that doesn't make any, that's dumb. Like, I'm going to say, we live with a lot of fucking idiots.
They a lot of sleep. They sleep. They're not aware. They're going through the motions.
Right.
They've assumed identities that they don't even know what that is.
And I respect that, because I was there too.
Right.
There is nothing that but I started
to realize that a lot of this weird, stupid shit, what we would consider stupid shit that we hear about,
right, is
coming from people that are in that kind of place, or even a deeper place than we were. Because
almost definitely.
I still came in turned on.
Mm-hmm.
And you did too. And a lot of people have.
Oh yeah.
Not everybody. That's like a different journey. It's different.
Yes.
Right?
It totally is. There's no like it. I see it and I am grateful for it. And I have gave so much gratitude for every experience and every situation that I see, because it makes me go deeper within myself and my reflection of, maybe I shouldn't have just called those people fucking idiots. But, you know, at this moment, it's just kind of like, okay. Yeah. That's how we're going to still play. That's how you want to still play.
Which is interesting. Think about this. That's an all or nothing mindset too. Just on the other end of the spectrum.
Most definitely.
So we're still playing in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it comes back down to talking about, regardless of what's going on out there, checking in with self and seeing how we actually want to respond to it, how we want to feel about it, in it, how we want to react to it. Like, even like you said, to the point of half-assing stuff. It's like, is that like, how do we want to put forth our own energy? Is this really how we want to do it? Just because that's how we've seen it represented before and it's easy. Is that how we really want to do it? And I think that this election and all of these conspiracy theories and all of this stuff is actually going to open up a whole heck of a lot of questions for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Concerning that kind of thing, is like, is this really how we want to be? To the point of the extreme, where it's like I said, it's like we may potentially just get big brothered to death.
Right.
To like, it may, like for some people, it may take them to that point to actually wake up. But you don't necessarily have to have that experience affect you in any kind of real way.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And that's a personal choice. And if everybody does it, then there's nobody left to control. Because everybody's coming to the table centered as equals. And you can have a differing of opinion. You can have a different perspective.
Oh, yes.
But if you're willing to actually listen and respond from who you are within, and not like a parrot recording of your parents or your grandparents or your ideology or your church or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you're actually prepared to have a conversation and listen to the other perspective with what they would call an open mind, right? Not just a fake one, an actual one. Every time I've ever been able to do that in any kind of situation, regardless of relationship, whether it's, with Frank or whether it's with you or whatever. Sorry, the dog's sitting on the cord. Even if we're coming from different sides, we always find the middle ground. Mm-hmm. Where everybody's satisfied, everybody feels like they got heard, mm-hmm. Everybody feels like they got the point across, nobody had to raise their voice, everybody had time to speak, and a solution was reached. Mm-hmm. Or at least an action plan to get to a solution was reached. Every time. And I feel like we're in a phase right now where we're about to be shown that that's what we need.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Yeah.
To not be too PC, to not be too censored, to actually let people have their opinion is super important. But if you are able to present your opinion in such a way that it gives them an alternate perspective to even think on for half a second, you've done your job. Mm-hmm. Even if they don't think about it right now, you've planted a seed. Right. There's going to come a time where they're going to be confronted with a situation that's reflective of what you were talking about, and they're going to be given an opportunity to do the same or remember your conversation and try it out. Mm-hmm. It's like, what is it? It's like, I love it that Bashar says, and this really applies in this case, where it's like, you give the gift of the conversation, of your point of view or your perspective, you give it, and then you leave it. Right. What they do with it is none of your business. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm getting like hella shadows right now. I'm trying to like fix it. But it's none of your business. You don't have to change anybody's mind, because the people that you're going to agree with, we're going to naturally get together. Mm-hmm. And if everybody, again, it has to do with coming from a place of center. Right. Instead of trying to dominate the other side. They don't have to fully agree, but we can all cohabitate. Right.
Right. And like, vibrationally I found myself, and I recently told you of my own boundaries with things, of like, I found myself going backwards of pleasing instead of going, wait, this is making me feel this way, and I need to like be forward with that, but not in a sense of like I'm attacking somebody, but I'm stating my boundary, and I can do it from a place of just like, hey, this is my space, that's yours, whatever it is, that I can't please everybody anymore.
Right. That's one aspect of it too. Right. Boundary. Yeah. Like creating the boundaries and understanding your own, and being like, even being willing to work with them, within them, stretch them, revisit them, all of that stuff. And I think a point that I want to make, bringing it right back around to the UFO conspiracy theory thing, is, what if even just the idea, even if the aliens aren't real, The idea that they are has given humanity an opportunity to open its mind enough to be able to chart its own path, for people to start to be able to create their own lives, realize that they are the writer of their own story. So take that in your conspiracy hat. What if it's all real, but it ain't?
I'm just saying, look at our movies and shows, even our kids' cartoons of what they're already exposing us to. You know, like I saw on Netflix, there's an alien cartoon of Christmas. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a total gray. And I'm just like, bing, there it is.
Oh, wait a minute now. There it is.
And I'm thinking of all the shows my kids watch and all the things they experience. And I'm like, dude, they've exposed us already. They are starting to think this is the normal, you know, like this is the new normal where we're cohabitant with other beings. And as we do our work, right, it's our job to kind of be in our body and our energy field of owning ourselves, of channeling these beings that are such a high frequency, and you know, it's far out, man.
Right. But yeah, so basically, regardless of which one you believe,
right,
it's all about centering in and experiencing what you're experiencing as fully as you can, as in your own self as you can, as much being as much of you as you can. Whatever that is. For some people it's channeling, for some people it's not.
And that's
some people it's being an athlete and having nothing to do with the spiritual world. So it's like, if you want to start playing at the level of super conspiracy theories, it's like they're all playing a game. And it's like, it's a big game.
But then it's also how we play it too.
Right.
Or what we involve ourselves with or not, you know, because some can just focus straight on these are UFOs and it's this type or this type, or, you know, or the governmental stuff for.
Right. Are we going to allow that to change how we live our lives to the point where it's uncomfortable for us to live because we're living in fear?
Yes.
Or are we going to allow it to present an opportunity to go, oh, wait, that's cool. That's pretty expansive.
Right.
That's neat. And live our life more as an expanded version of ourselves and grow with it. So regardless of what conspiracy theory you look into or believe or don't, it's all an opportunity.
Or good entertainment.
Boy, howdy. Like I said, some of these ones, humans have got a really active imagination, buddy. I love it. But we are at time.
Okay, well, that was pretty good then.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, we touched on a lot of interesting things. We got out the point that we wanted to share, which is to, regardless of what's going on around you, all these crazy conspiracy theories that you find, that people get freaked out by, that they get consumed by, the mass media, all of this crazy stuff. Just find you. The people that are supposed to be in your life will be there. Don't worry. You're not going to lose anybody you're not supposed to lose. Right? Just do you.
It's all going to be okay.
And have fun. Let it be fun. That was the point too. Enjoy the crazy ones. Let it be fun. Enjoy the entertainment.
Laugh at them. Oh my gosh.
Enjoy the entertainment, y'all. Right. Speaking of enjoying the entertainment, thank you for listening to us.
Thank you.
Our weird little tangent, right? Tried to share like what we were just talking about in a topic. But yeah, thank you for joining us. We appreciate y'all. Make sure to check us out on Spotify if you're watching us on YouTube, and watch us on YouTube if you've been listening to us on Spotify. We appreciate everybody. If you ever have any questions or topics for exploration, you can always reach out to us. Shoot us a message through Spotify, Anchor, or comment on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. All of that stuff. Reach out to us. We love hearing from you guys. We love answering your questions. So thank you.
Thanks.
I'll see you next time. We're going to have a good one next time.
Yeah. We always do.
Always do.